What's up, Dub Nation? Welcome back to the DubsIn4 Podcast. This is episode 17. Today is November 11th, 2018, and we're going to be continuing with our little trend of talking about just the NBA in general this week, specifically the Warriors' week up ahead, their past week, and then we're actually going to be moving into Jimmy Butler, because Jimmy Butler finally got traded this week. He was traded to the 76ers. More on that later, though. But first of all, we're going to be starting with the Warriors' week this week. So just right out the gate, Warriors played 3 times this week, all 3 at home. They went 2-1, took one fat loss to the Bucks. Kind of a struggle there, but we'll get into that in a second. First of all, they beat the Grizzlies on Monday night, 101-117. Highlights of the game were Klay Thompson with 27, Steph Curry had 19, Kevin Durant with 22, Alfonso McKinnie played another nice game, scored 14, Quinn Cook with 13 off the bench as well. So, just in general, some good stuff here. It was kind of close throughout the first half, first part of the third quarter. The Warriors started to pull away in the fourth, and I guess it was more in the third, but Warriors did pull away from the Grizzlies here. Grizzlies are actually fairly surprising so far. They're currently sitting in the playoff spot. Their record right now is 7-4. They've beat a lot of good teams so far this week too. Or not this week, just this season overall. So maybe the Grizzlies aren't such a pushover as we imagined that they would be previously. But the Warriors did get a 16-point win there at home. So that was nice. All-around game just from everybody chipping in. Klay Thompson was the highlight there, but all the stars played well. Okay, and then moving on to Thursday. I think I said Wednesday earlier, but this game was on Thursday. They played the Milwaukee Bucks at home and got hammered 134-111. This one was just not too fun. It was kind of a blowout from just out of the gate, really. First quarter was pretty close, and then after that, it kind of got out of hand from there. Warriors just didn't really play with a lot of heart, turned the ball over a lot, didn't shoot particularly well. Steph Curry left with an injury in the third quarter, so all in all, just everything added up, and they weren't able to come out with a win there. Bucks are starting the season very, very hot. They've got a good team. Maybe their coaching change has just unlocked some new potential in that team. Giannis Antetokounmpo is playing the MVP right now. He finished the game with 24 points, 9 boards, and 4 assists. Bledsoe with 26, Brogdon with 20, Chris Middleton 17, Pat Connaughton had 15. The Warriors just really weren't able to stop anybody. So they didn't have too good of a time. None of their stars played particularly well. Kevin Durant only 17. Klay Thompson had 24. He was the only bright spot there. Steph Curry finished with only 10 in about 2.5 quarters of action. Quinn Cook with 15 in Curry's absence for the latter part of the game. He played a lot of garbage time as well. So really the only bright spot of this game was Klay Thompson, and the fact that some of the deeper reserves on the bench got to get a little bit more playing time. Damian Lee finished with 8 points in 12 minutes, so that's not bad. But I mean, it was against subpar competition because the Bucks were playing their bench anyway too. So I don't know. That was that. I wouldn't say. I was thinking about saying just burn the tape for this one, move on. But I don't think this is a game that you need to burn the tape for. They can learn a lot from this, and they did. They bounced back in the next game that we'll talk about. But it's just turnover problems, poor shooting. Just didn't play particularly well against a team that, yes, the Bucks are good, but the Warriors should be able to beat them at home. So just wasn't a great game played by them. But it happens. It happens, a couple times each year where the Warriors just come out against a good team and don't play well and lose. I'm not too worried about it. In the moment, it can be frustrating, but if you look at the big picture of things, right now we're 11-2, I believe. Yeah, 11-2. That's the best record in the Western Conference. Second best record in the league. Yeah, second best in the league behind the Raptors only. Raptors are 12-1. They're kind of cooking right now. But yeah, that's all from that game. And then moving on. Yesterday, Saturday, the Warriors played the Brooklyn Nets. Beat them 100-116. Pretty just a well game played overall. Missing Steph Curry and Draymond Green, both out with injury. Quinn Cook filled in the starting lineup as well as Jonas Jerebko. Kevin Durant finished with 28 points. 11 assists was a big deal for him. He typically doesn't get too high in assists ever since he's been on the Warriors specifically. Draymond and Steph usually tally up those. KD's usually not an assist guy, but in Draymond and Steph's absence, obviously Kevin Durant became more of a playmaker, which makes sense. He has that ability, just doesn't get to utilize it as often in the Warriors offense, which is fine. But yeah, he finished with 11 assists there, so that's good. Quinn Cook with a big 27. I believe he made his first 7 shots from the field. He started 7 for 7. Was kind of on fire in the first quarter, had 19 in the first half, I believe, finished with 27 points in 30 minutes. As he always does, steps up big in Steph Curry's absence. He did his best Curry impression, as Kenny Atkinson said, the Nets head coach. But yeah, I mean, Klay Thompson played well as well with 24 points in 29 minutes, as he does. Jerebko with 8 points in 26 minutes, starting for Draymond. He didn't get too much of an opportunity, but I was satisfied with how he played there. So yeah, pretty much just it's an all-around good experience for the younger guys. It was a blowout late in the fourth, so a lot of their deep reserves got to play about 5 or 6 minutes late in the fourth quarter. Checking the box score here, Marcus Derrickson made his NBA debut, played 6 minutes, got 2 points and 1 rebound. Damian Lee with 3 points and a rebound in 6 minutes as well. Jacob Evans in 4 minutes of play snagged 1 assist, and that's all. But it's just a good experience for some of those guys to be able to close that game out, get a little bit of run with the team. Both of their two-way players played and scored a little bit. So that was nice to see, having Derrickson make his debut and Damian Lee also playing well. So that's good. In limited minutes, obviously, but it's still nice to see that there. On the Nets side of things, Joe Harris finished with 24, D'Angelo Russell with 12, Dinwiddie 14, Shabazz Napier 14. They had pretty balanced scoring all around. Nets weren't able to get it done, which is understandable on the road against a good team. Even missing 2 stars, the Nets were kind of clearly outmatched here, so wasn't too surprised with the outcome of this one. But yeah, Steph Curry, like I mentioned, he went out in the Bucks game with a left groin strain. It doesn't seem to be too bad. He had an MRI, and he's now listed as day-to-day. They did rule him out for tomorrow against the Clippers, but he should be back relatively soon, which is overall good news. It could have been a lot worse, but it's just a pretty mild injury. Keep him out a couple games, but I think he'll be back before the end of the week, would be my guess. And speaking of the week, the Warriors have a very full one coming up. They're playing 5 games this week in 7 days. That's probably, I believe that's the most that they'll be able to play in a week, because they don't do back-to-back followed by a back-to-back anymore. They don't do like 4 games in 5 nights. But yeah, they're playing 5 games this week, and that'll be definitely tough. So yeah, they're starting out with the Clippers in LA tomorrow night. That one, Clippers are actually playing pretty well to start the year. I believe they're 7-5. Let's double check on this right now. Clippers are 7-5. So they're not a bad team, that's for sure. They're scrappy, they play hard, and without Steph Curry, they'll have a little bit of trouble. Draymond Green, I believe, is questionable, as is Sean Livingston. So we'll have to see how that point guard rotation shakes out if we do have Livingston and Cook both playing. I'm assuming they will keep Damian Lee called up just in case they need him. I'm not sure about Derrickson. That would probably depend on Draymond's availability. But yeah, they'll and Jacob Evans maybe. I don't think they'll send him back down to the G League for this one. I think they'll keep him up. But yeah. Hopefully Draymond will play. Clippers in LA, I don't know how that one will go. Clippers are a good team, but the Warriors should have enough to be able to beat them. It just depends on what Warriors team we see tomorrow. If they're coming out with purpose and trying to win, locked in a little bit. Depends on how KD and Klay do offensively. Klay's been really good ever since that Bucks game where he broke that threes record. He's been consistently above 20. Pretty much every game since then, playing at an all-star level after starting the season, not too great. I mentioned that he would break his shooting slump. I talked about this last week, but when he broke that Bulls record, the record against the Bulls, that was cool. And he's been playing ever since then. So I'm assuming we'll get a 20-piece from Klay. KD will do what he does. If Draymond plays, that would be nice. We'll see what Quinn Cook can do again in the starting lineup. I'm assuming he will start for Steph. Depending on Livingston's health. If Livingston's healthy, they may still start Cook and bring Livingston off the bench. Usually that's how Kerr likes to run it. Have Livingston anchor that second unit. Keep those rotations a little bit more intact there. Speaking of Livingston, he has not played for a while. That foot injury's been lingering a little bit. But he is listed as questionable for tomorrow. They have not ruled him out, so maybe we will see him back in the lineup tomorrow night. Anyway, they continue on with the Hawks on Tuesday on a back-to-back. Go back home to face the Atlanta Hawks. This one will be interesting. I don't really know. The Hawks are a good young team, and they actually played really well tonight against the Lakers. I just watched the end of that game just now, actually. As I'm recording this, that game has just barely ended. But I did want to watch the end because it was a close game. LeBron James got fouled, down 1 point with under a minute to go. Missed both free throws, put back dunk to go up one, and then hung on the rim for like 15 seconds. I'm not sure why that wasn't a technical. I don't know if people remember this, but a couple years ago, I think it was 2 years ago on Christmas, LeBron hung on the rim against the Warriors and didn't get called for a T, and then I think like KD hung on the rim for like half the amount of time that LeBron did and got hit with a technical. It was just a really inconsistent thing. I don't remember the exact specifics of that, but all I know is that if you hang on the rim for too long and it's not to like avoid an injury for yourself or somebody else, that is a technical foul. And LeBron hung on the rim for like 10 seconds. So that should have been a T there. And then the other item of controversy is Trae Young went up for a floater. He hit a floater layup with time expiring, and got blocked by Tyson Chandler. And some people are saying that it looks like it was goaltending. In the moment, I thought it might have been. I watched it live. I thought it might have been goaltending there. But I saw the replay, and it's just really, really close. It's too hard to overturn that, and the Lakers already popped their confetti cannons and stuff to say that they won, so it's kind of too late to go back and like overturn that call and have them play it again. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that, but how it goes is Chandler gets a game-winning block on Trae Young's layup for the Lakers' victory there. Hawks did play really well. Trae Young played really well himself. The rest of the team was all right, but I'm excited to see how Trae Young plays against the Warriors on Tuesday. That will be a good one. So I'll keep an eye on that matchup. But the Hawks aren't a very good team. The Warriors get them at home. There's a chance Steph Curry will play, though I doubt it. I think they'll hold him out for a little bit longer. And yeah, they should be able to get the win over the Hawks unless they play like they suck, which could very well happen. But yeah, we'll see. Okay. They do get a break on Wednesday before traveling to Houston to play the Rockets on Thursday. That one will be interesting. Rockets are looking like they're going to part ways with Carmelo Anthony, maybe. That's been in the headlines today, where there's been conflicting reports where Daryl Morey and Mike D'Antoni are saying, oh, we're not going to get rid of him, but Woj and Shams are reporting that they're going to cut him, they're going to waive him, do whatever. That'll be interesting to see how that pans out. The latest we have heard is that coaches and players are of the mindset that Carmelo has played his last game with the Rockets, after only 10 games, I believe he's played with them. Hasn't been super great so far. Not really working out. I don't really know why the Rockets thought it would, because we kind of knew what Carmelo was, and still is. So that one, I don't really know what their thinking was there, but it's looking like it's heading the direction of a breakup. We'll see if any other team picks up Melo, but I would not expect him to be playing on Thursday. So yeah, we'll see if Steph Curry does come back, though. I think there's a good chance that he plays Thursday, depending on what kind of progress he makes this week. But my guess is that he's held out. We know he's out for tomorrow. I think they're going to hold him out against the Hawks as well. He might play Thursday, but we'll have to see there. Same thing with Livingston, Draymond Green. We don't really know. So depends on if they have Steph. If they have Steph, I think that should be an easy win for them. If they don't, that'll be a little tougher. Obviously, Rockets played them really tough last year. They haven't looked super right so far this season, but we don't really know what kind of version of the Rockets we're going to be seeing on Thursday. If they do not have Carmelo Anthony, honestly, I think that makes them a lot better because he's not eating up shots. But we'll just have to see what kind of... I don't know. The question is who's going to defend Kevin Durant now that they don't have, they don't have Ariza and Ba Mute anymore. So KD should be able to have his way with the Rockets a little bit, but if there is no Steph Curry, they can kind of double team KD for most of it and get away with that a little bit more. But we'll just have to see. Anyway, they're in Houston on Thursday. Then we get the Mavericks on Saturday. That one should be easy, but they are in Dallas. They got a 3-game Texas road trip here. Hitting the Rockets, Mavericks, and Spurs, all 3 Texas teams. So taking a little trip down there. Mavericks aren't too great. Right now their record is 4-8, so pretty bad. But we will have to see. It'll be interesting to see how Doncic plays. Same with DeAndre Jordan, stuff like that. Not really too much to say about this one, but they should be able to win as long as they play well. And if Steph Curry does return by then, I'm assuming that he will be back before the end of the week. That's my guess. But I don't really know. Obviously, nobody really knows too much about what exactly his injury is and how long that will keep him out. But he's been listed as day-to-day. And from what I can tell, the MRI seems like it was good news. So I would assume that he will be back before the end of the week. And then on Sunday, they are playing the Spurs. That's a back-to-back in San Antonio. That one will be tough. Spurs, new look kind of with DeMar DeRozan. They've kind of been the Warriors' rival a little bit for the past couple of years. They've met in the playoffs a couple times. Always played them close in the regular season. This year is a little bit of a different Spurs team. The Warriors kind of washed them last year without Kawhi in the playoffs, but we will have to see how DeRozan helps them out a little bit. Popovich is coaching wizardry, but their point guard rotation is really thin with all their injuries. So, again, if Steph Curry's back, I think that'll help them out a lot. But they do get the Spurs on Sunday, and then that night we will be discussing everything that has gone on this past week. There's 5 games, so that'll be a lot to talk about. But anyway, that is the upcoming week. I do want to just give a little bit of a note. After that Spurs game, their next game is against the Thunder on Wednesday, and I have tickets. I'm making the trip out to San Francisco to Oracle to see some family for Thanksgiving and stuff. And I do have tickets for the game on Wednesday, so that'll be really exciting. I'm super pumped to see them play. I will be there all weekend, so I'm there for the Thunder game. They're also playing the Trailblazers on Friday, the Kings on Saturday. I don't have tickets to the Trailblazers or Kings games. I'm assuming I won't be able to get them. If the Kings tickets are really cheap, maybe. But, yeah, for the Thunder, I am definitely going. So I'm super excited for that. But, yeah, I'll be able to, give my experience in Oracle and stuff for all you guys. I'll talk about that a little bit in 2 weeks from now. But, yeah, coming up this week, they got 5 games. Full week for the Warriors, but we will have to see how they play. And whether or not Steph Curry is in the lineup for any of them. So hopefully he will be back by the time I'm in Oracle, though. I would kind of be really bummed out if the game I get to see is without Steph. But that's a week and a half from now. I'm assuming that he will be healthy by then. Okay, that was that. Now, the big item of the week is Jimmy Butler was traded to the Philadelphia 76ers. I believe the full trade was Jimmy Butler and Justin Patton for Robert Covington, Dario Saric, Jared Bayless, and a 2022 second-round pick. I believe that was the full trade. So obviously it's big news for the T-Wolves and for the Sixers both. Timberwolves are kind of struggling right now. They're 4-9. I believe they've lost 5 in a row. They went on a 5-game road trip, lost all of them. Jimmy didn't play in a couple of those games. He's been resting a lot in just, through his trade demand and the fact that he wasn't in training camp, so he's not super in game shape and everything. But yeah, he's been held out of a couple games, whether that's by himself or by management or whatever. But yeah, anyway, that doesn't have to happen anymore because he has been traded to the Sixers. I don't really know. That this one is definitely going to be interesting. It'll be something we have to see play out. But that does make the East a lot more interesting. I had kind of written the Sixers off a little bit after their start was pretty poor, to be honest. They're 8-6, which yes, they're above 500, and they're the 3rd seed in the East. Which at 8-6, that's pretty weird to be 8-6 and have the 3rd seed. They're one loss away from being a 500 basketball team, and they're, I mean, if they had lost one of the games that they'd won, they would be the 7 seed right now, 7 or 8. So it's I mean, they're right now they're the 3, but it's close. I mean, it's very fluid up there. But the trade call is happening tomorrow, I believe, at the league office. So the earliest he would be able to play would be Wednesday at the Magic. Is it at the Magic? I'll have to look at. Let me look at their schedule here. Sixers tomorrow. They're playing at the Heat, but I don't think he would be eligible to play tomorrow night. But yes, they're at the Magic on a Wednesday. So we'll have to see if he does suit up. If not, they're playing the Jazz at home on Friday. So maybe he will make his debut then, but we will just have to see. But yeah, that's big news. It makes the East a lot more interesting because right now the Raptors have the best record in the entire league. They're 12-1. That's a really impressive start. Kyle Lowry's playing out of his mind, and that was not something I expected from Lowry. I thought this was going to be his decline season, but he's maybe having the best year of his career. Putting up huge assist numbers, scoring points in double digits again. So that's nice for him. And obviously Kawhi Leonard's playing well. So, the Raptors are playing really well. The Bucks are also off to a super hot start. Again, they kind of laid the smackdown on the Warriors the other night, but with their new coach, Mike Budenholzer, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Chris Middleton, Brook Lopez just lit it up from 3 today. They also have, Brogdon, Eric Bledsoe. They have a really nice team, and with their coaching change, I think that's going to help them out a lot. With Budenholzer being, really focused on the 3-point, and he's kind of maximizing the talent that he has, especially with Giannis. So that's encouraging to see from them. But the Bucks do look like they can make a run in the East. The Celtics are 7-6 right now. That's pretty disappointing for them. They lost again today to the Trailblazers. Lost to the Jazz earlier this week. They've lost a couple games against teams that they should probably win. A lot of people were saying that they're going to be a threat to the Warriors this season. They're definitely going to win the East. The Celtics are a very deep team. They can make a run. They can get to the finals. And right now they're losing games to teams that they should realistically not be losing to if that's what their goal is, right? Like you can't lose to both the Trailblazers and the Jazz. Like I get it, it's on the road. They're both Western Conference playoff teams right now, but you can't lose both of those teams if you want to try to be a title contender. You can't start the season 7-6 if you're gonna make a run to the finals and try to dethrone Golden State. So right now the Celtics have disappointed me. But I'm sure they'll figure it out. Once they get their rotations down a little bit more, I think they'll be able to be a little bit better. The Celtics will be in it. I'm obviously not writing them off right now, but the Raptors and Bucks look like huge threats in the East right now, as well as the Sixers with Jimmy Butler. That's going to be tough. Although I am questioning what I don't know. I don't know if this is necessarily the best move for the Sixers to make, just because in all the reasons I believe I've mentioned here before, Jimmy Butler is, believe he's 29 years old. He's going to be 30, entering a contract year. So if you're going to offer him like a 5-year max extension that takes him through, his age 35 season, he's coming off a meniscus injury, a couple knee injuries, and we know that those can be, debilitating to a player. He didn't come to training camp. He's not in game shape. And if you're going to be handing a max contract to a player that will take him through age 35, and we don't know how healthy he is, and we don't know how his game will age, that one, I'm not really sure how that's going to pan out for the Sixers. It's looking like he will be there long term. But like I said, I don't know if that's a good thing. Probably for this season and next, and maybe the one after that, he'll be able to definitely positively impact the team and make them, contenders for years to come now. But after that, you're kind of stuck in one of those situations like John Wall and Blake Griffin are about to be, right? Like Blake Griffin is 30, 31 years old, and he has a supermax deal that runs for 4 more seasons. When he's 35, same thing with Chris Paul too. Chris Paul is 35 years old, and he has 4 more years on a deal that's going to be paying him $40 million when he's 38 years old. These teams have to hand out big contracts because these players they know, right? They know that they're not going to be good for that many more years. So they try to get as much money as they can and ask for that supermax. And teams kind of have to say yes, because if they say no, then they just leave and go to another team that's going to overpay for them. It's just really, really tough when negotiating with these stars that are entering contract years at this weird age. Because like if Jimmy was like 27 or 28, it's an easy decision. Give him a 5-year max, right? That runs him through age 32, and then at that point, both the player and the team knows that he's going to be on the decline. So he probably doesn't get a max contract at age like 32 or 33. But at age 30, it's kind of tough because he probably has 1 or 2 more years left in his prime, maybe 3, 4. But offering him a huge deal like that's paying him a ton in the 4th and 5th seasons of that contract, may not be the best move. But anyway, that's the one negative aspect of it, and the other one is that they gave up 2 of their wing players as well to get another wing, right? Like Dario Saric and Robert Covington are not bad. Like they're both good players. Covington's one of the best 3-and-D players in the league. I believe he made second team all defense last year. Might have been first team. But we know Covington's a good defender. He can shoot down to 3. Same thing with Saric. He can do both of those things. He's a nice young player too. I believe he's still on his rookie contract. But Saric had a lot of promise. He was, one of their top draft picks a couple years ago. And they did trade them both away. Now, Jimmy Butler, I believe, obviously he's better than both of them, right? But giving up 2 for a guy who's better, but your wing rotation's a little bit more thin. And again, we don't know his health and how his game will age. So those are just my big concerns with the Sixers move. But obviously for this season and for like probably the next, assuming that he does resign for the next like 1 or 2 years, I believe it will benefit the team. This move will. But yeah, and the Eastern Conference is going to definitely be interesting for that. Not really sure if this makes them better than the Bucks right now. If it makes them better than the Raptors, the Sixers, I would not consider them the favorite in the East. I think right now that belongs to Toronto. Just with the way that they've been playing 12-1 to start the season, they've got a super deep bench. All their players are their starters are very solid. Lowry's playing out of his mind. Obviously, Kawhi Leonard's top 5, top 10 player, arguably wherever you want to place him. But Kawhi's very good as well. Danny Green's playing well. Valanciunas, Serge Ibaka's having a really nice season so far too. Pascal Siakam's developing, as well as like DeLon right off the bench, Fred VanVleet, guys like that. Raptors are looking real nice. So I would not consider this move to put them over Toronto right now. We'll have to see how it pans out, how the Bucks play continuing moving forward, as well as how the Sixers play moving forward. That one will be tough for me to judge. And we know that the Celtics are going to be better than they are right now, but as of right now, they're not playing super well. They're 7-5. Gordon Hayward has not looked great. Jason Tatum's cooled off a little bit. Kyrie Irving's picked it up still, but I don't know. He's kind of been inconsistent so far. Doesn't seem like they're utilizing Jaylen Brown as much. The only really consistent player I think you could say has been Al Horford. Horford's played really well so far, but other than that, like Jaylen Brown, you don't know like if they're using him right. Tatum and Hayward have kind of been disappointing, and Kyrie's been up and down. So obviously Brad Stevens is a good coach. He'll get his rotations down, and he'll figure it out quickly. But as of right now, Celtics aren't that great. So I don't know what this means for the Sixers. I mean, Jim Butler has not played a game for them yet, so we don't really know. But I do like this move right now for both sides. I actually think that the T-Wolves got a pretty good deal, I would have to say. For a player that, obviously has requested a trade, it's been known, throughout the entire league that he wants to be traded for 2 months. As we know, that cheapens the value of a player. When they have a public trade request, kind of other teams are more inclined to offer less because they know that they have to be traded. Like the ownership of the Timberwolves was forced to make a move, and so they're not going to get the kind of offers that they would if they were just, doing their due diligence, I would say, I guess, with Jimmy Butler. Anyway, I do think getting two quality wings in Covington and Saric. Actually, let me double check something. I want to check how many years are on their contracts. So let's go to Basketball Reference, the handiest website in the history of ever. I'm just going to check on this really fast. So his contract, he's under contract for this year and for next season. For Saric's. Saric is under contract this year for about $2 million, $2.5 million, and next year it's about $3.5 million. So after that, he is a free agent. But they will have, I believe he will be restricted because that's his rookie contract. I could be definitely wrong on that, but he'll be restricted for the T-Wolves. So they should be able to keep Dario. And as for Covington, let's see. Okay, you're not just going to give me Robert Covington. BasketballReference.com. So his contract runs till 2022. This season he's getting paid $10 million, next year 11, next year 12, and then next year nearly 13. So he's under contract for 4 more years. So the Timberwolves will have him for a while. But yeah, he signed a pretty big extension. I believe it was the last offseason. So yeah. So they will have Covington for a while before he needs a new deal, as well as Saric. Saric will be there for at least this season and next, and then he will have to sign. Sorry, I'm reading things on on the website right now. He'll have to be restricted and sign a new deal. Anyway, that's gonna be that. But I do think that the T-Wolves did pretty well for themselves in getting those 2 players. Jared Bayless is a non-factor. That was just contract filler. For the Sixers to get out from his contract is also a pretty big win. He's getting paid like $8 million this season to sit on the bench and do nothing. But that draft pick is pretty inconsequential. It's in like 3 seasons. The second round pick doesn't really matter too much. But it's good on the T-Wolves to kind of squeeze as much out of that as they could to get that pick as well. Sending away Justin Patton, I don't anticipate him to be on the Sixers for very long. Isn't he out for the year again? I know that he was a first round pick a couple years ago, and he's just been hurt so much. I don't even think he's played. Last season he played 1 game for 4 minutes, scored 2 points, and had a foul. Yeah, so he has appeared in 1 game for the Timberwolves so far. But yeah, let's see his contract. They declined his team option. But yeah, he's under contract for this year, and that's it. So not really sure what the Sixers are going to do with that. But what I need to know is he hurt again? Because he has not played this year, and I seem to remember him being hurt. Justin Patton. So that was in September. He had a broken foot and had surgery. And we sidelined indefinitely. So, yeah, it was a broken foot injury. So I don't know if he will be back this season, when he will be back. But we're not really sure. Like, he's been injured so much, has played in only 1 game in his career so far. Was a former first-round pick, so there is potential there, but he's just been injured. So we're not really sure if he's ever going to pan out. I don't know if the Sixers plan on holding on to him. They could just cut him after the trade. He could have just been there, for the T-Wolves to get rid of another player to absorb because they're getting 3 players back in a 3-for-1 deal. They had to get rid of somebody in order to create that roster spot for Covington, Sarge, and Bayless. And I don't know if the T-Wolves are planning on keeping Bayless. I would assume that they would negotiate a buyout or something, because I don't see them keeping him on the roster. There would be really no point to that. But yeah. So anyway, that was the trade. Those are my thoughts. And yeah, I guess that's probably going to be it for this week. Like I mentioned, I'm going to that Warriors game about a week and a half from now. I'm really pumped for that. But yeah, next week we'll just be giving another just wrap up of what went on in the NBA. And I guess, I don't know, if there's anything big I want to talk about. I kind of want to maybe streamline these a little bit more, because it's been kind of all over the place. I felt like last week was kind of all over the place, just giving thoughts on the Warriors and stuff. I kind of want to have a more focused topic for these episodes, I think. But yeah, today was good because we did get Jimmy Butler trade, so that gave me something to talk about here. But yeah, other than that, I guess I'll just have to see you guys next week. So that's going to be it for the DubsIn4 podcast, and I'll see you guys next time.